the Overman Warrior Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Whoa, where'd you come from? Hey little guy. What'd you say?
Hi, Drew Choppin here. As you can see, a little birdie has come along and told me some things I'd rather not hear. But the little birdie told me, I've always liked Roger Reynolds. I wanted Roger Reynolds to succeed. I stood by him during that trial, and I still feel the trial was not fair to him. However, when you're managing political affairs, and it's just like the Amy Acton situation, you can have bad judgment, but does that mean you should be in an important role? And when you show bad judgment, should you go to jail for it? Should you lose a lot of money in legal fees? Probably not. But should you be in an elected office? Especially if you can't do the main criteria, which is bring people together. And when people argue with me about Republican Party politics, or hey, the Republican Party is a good old boys club and you're either in it or not in it. Hey, what you have to do in life is bring people into your tent. And you have to be able to go talk to people who disagree with you and bring them into your fold and win them over with an argument. You don't go torpedo their house. You don't go out and try to lobby against them and slander them or smear them in ridiculous ways to get your point, or throw a little fit like a baby. And obviously, here's the thing. I've supported Michael Ryan from the outset of the commissioner race in Butler County. He has the Republican endorsement, which he surely deserves. He's fantastic. I've known him for years now. He's been a very good vice mayor, very good city council member for Hamilton. Hamilton has been great to rejuvenate that city. I've watched it all my life, most of it. Now, I've lived in this area, not all the time, but most of the time. And I've always wanted Hamilton to succeed. And the current city council has done a wonderful job of spinning it around. And now Michael Ryan wants to, after 2 terms of that, wants to go become commissioner. And based on that track record, he's still a person. I mean, he's in his 40s now, but I call him a young person. He still has a long runway ahead of him. He could be a commissioner for a good number of years, and I think he brings a lot of new energy and ideas to Butler County commissioners, and I'm highly supportive of him. And I found out that he was running. I was very excited about him. This is before Roger Reynolds decided he wanted to run for that position. I signed up early in the process, and friends of mine like Nancy Nix have signed up for it. George Lang, very respected senator, signed up for it. And this is where you start getting into what's the Republican Party. Are these establishment figures, or should it be Tea Party types that are throwing stones all the time and causing people to answer questions that might be uncomfortable? I find a lot of use in that. But if you're going to run for an office, you need to be able to pull people into your fold. And you can be a Tea Party type, and you get into the party and you talk and you argue. And I've seen a lot of people come from way on that side of things and get in, become moderates, or become more moderate, or even move left of center. I've seen candidates go from being Tea Party radical to being left of center within 7 or 8 years. People change a little bit over time, and their belief systems get challenged. Life happens, and their foundations get rocked, and sometimes they are different people at the end of a process. So you want to vote for people who are firm in their convictions, but can go and talk to people who disagree with them and convince them and get them to yes. I call them the get the yes people. The world needs more get the yes people, not get the no's. Not negative people who are always looking to justify their lack of skill in negotiating and talking to people with no's and further laws that they can't enforce themselves. You want get the yes people. And that means you sit down with people and argue with them, debate with them, convince them through some means of coming to your way of thinking. And that's what you expect in a representative government. And when it comes to Roger Reynolds, again, I've always liked him. But what the little bird told me was that he was helping Cindy Carpenter, and his dad is helping Cindy Carpenter. These are supposed to be bitter enemies from the past. For years and years, and this is knowing Roger Reynolds a bit, and knowing Nancy Nix very well. They were not happy with Cindy Carpenter's performance as commissioner, and so they weren't aligned with her the continued Republican Party endorsement of her. And she lost that endorsement because she was out campaigning for a Democrat mayor who won in Middletown. And that's all Middletown needs. Middletown needs more people like Michael Ryan and not Democrats. That's why they're having a hard time in Middletown. And I can tell you, Nancy Nix used to be on city council there. She cares about Middletown, Butler County. Everybody wants Butler County to succeed. But you go out and you get these Democrats in these positions, especially at mayor, that's not going to help Middletown. So here's Cindy Carpenter knowing that was the wrong thing to do. Go out and campaign for a Democrat in a neighborhood, in a community that needs more Republican leadership. And she went against the party endorsement to get a Democrat elected. Now Middletown's stuck with that person. Not because Cindy Carpenter elected her, but because enough people on the fence didn't show up in conviction and vote for a Republican. And when they see what they think are Republicans doing that, that definitely doesn't help put a Republican in those seats. So you got to play party politics, and you got to work the party. You got to get into the party, and the party might have people who are different degrees. Everybody's probably not in the same place, but you got to work together as a party to make things happen. So Roger Reynolds wants back in politics. He wants to save his name. He wants to get out there and do things, and he thinks that he's going to attack the party, which actually stood by him pretty well through the trial. There were divisions within the party about him, about power politics and who was going to sit at the top of the ticket. And Roger Reynolds has played it wrong. He played the victim status, and he got himself on the wrong side of the power play, and he didn't handle it very well. And he ended up in deep trouble over the whole thing. And that's a skill. I look at it as a skill thing. Again, I've been through, I think, a lot worse than he has. I've been in much more contentious debates and arguments and legal scenarios than what he went through. And when someone comes after you and prosecutes you the way that he was prosecuted, it's because they think they're going to get away with it. And your job is to make sure that you don't have anything that they can go after and get. Your job is to handle that stuff before it even hits a lawyer's desk. And again, I've been through a lot. So I feel a little bad that he got involved in that. I tried to help him all I could. But, it's skills with people that you end up in these situations or not. And he could have handled things a lot better. And so I might like him as a person. But the way that all went down, I think he could have avoided it a lot of ways by not even getting in trouble with the Jenny Logan thing to begin with. There's a lot wrong. He might not have been illegal, what he did, technically, but he was, you gotta be careful how you handle your offices, and you gotta be careful when you walk around with a chip on your shoulder that you can back that chip up and you don't leave yourself vulnerable to political aggressors. And he left himself vulnerable, and he got attacked. And that's the way the meat and potatoes work in politics. But he's hurt over it. He's wants to recover his reputation. He wants to get back into politics, and for some reason he thinks the way to do it is to attack the party, to come in and attack his friend Nancy Nix and other people. And he should have been rallying behind Michael Ryan. He should have been rallying to help Nancy Nix as a friend. He should have came in and started helping candidates get elected, and he should have started becoming a contributor and helping the party win seats. Instead of falling in love with a seat or trying to get the public to validate your existence with an election, which is essentially a popularity contest, to essentially try to regain your name, because now you've made the name about the election and not what's good for the Butler County or the party. And if he really wanted to be helpful, he would have helped. Now he knows he has no path to become commissioner. He's upset that the party's come out and endorsed Michael Ryan, and all of us have too, and he feels abandoned. So to stick it in our eye, he's out there throwing. I was wondering how all these signs were getting out, but him and his dad have been going around putting out signs for Cindy Carpenter, who is the enemy. And he has always thought of her that way, according to his past records and people he's aligned himself with. And he's willing to completely throw that all away to help out somebody who betrayed the party, because he wants to bring the party down. And that's not the way you play. And for all those who are like, well, the party left him behind, they didn't get behind him, they let the whole thing go on in the trial, they didn't break it up. And so to heck with the party. Party needs to be burnt down. Meanwhile, the Democrats are working together and they're putting their people in office and attacking where there's division. And so Roger Reynolds knows that. He's been in politics long enough to know that's the game. And rather than stay aligned with people who were his friends all along, through the toughest times, he chose to side with the enemy in this race. Knowing that people like me and people like Nancy Nix and others have come out and supported Michael Ryan for all kinds of good reasons, he's supporting someone who helped a Democrat get elected in Middletown, who went against the party endorsement, and really wants to break up the party and show the party that he can destroy it from within, or try to anyway. That's clearly his intentions. When you're out there campaigning for Cindy Carpenter, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to send a message to the party that you want to bring it down, or you want to reform it, or you want to throw it. It's just like the people attacking Vivek Ramaswamy, trying to come in and knock him off when he's got the Trump endorsement. People aren't working together. You may not agree with every little thing, but you're trying hard. And primaries are partly with primaries. You want to have a healthy debate. But if you want to be a party player and you go against the party pick, you're showing yourself to be someone who wants to antagonize that. And that's why the Republican Party ends up in a weakened state and Democrats gain ground. And when you're out there campaigning for Democrats, as Cindy Carpenter did, and then Roger Reynolds is out there trying to help Cindy Carpenter the way Cindy Carpenter tried to help the Democrat candidate and the mayor in Middletown, well, now you've shown where your colors really are and what your interests in politics have always been. And that's really not forgivable. You can't sign up and endorse that kind of thing. And it's hard. I see a lot of signs going out there. Michael Ryan's people are out there putting out signs, and I get to tell you, I know there's a lot. I've been in these campaigns enough. Signs disappear a lot. Democrats go out and take away the Republican endorsed candidate signs all the time. You got to continuously put them out every single weekend. It means that you have to have an army of people driving around on Saturdays, Sunday, and Mondays, Fridays, putting these signs out all hours of the day, in the middle of the night, trying to catch these people, stealing the signs. And it's tough. Signs cost a lot of money, and there's plenty of opposition that tries to steal them. And then you've got Roger Reynolds and his dad apparently looking, according to the little bird, telling me, well, it's not just that little bird, there's a lot of little birds actually, telling me that Roger Reynolds and his dad have been out campaigning for Cindy Carpenter. And that's a direct offense to the party that he wants to get back into. And if you want to be a player in that party in the future, how are you going to justify that by going against it now? You got to go build people up. You got to help other people get elected. And you got to build a team for which then you go run for elected office and get back into it at a certain point. But you got to go earn that back. And he wants it because he feels entitled to it, I guess. And it was unfair to everything that happened to him. But a lot of it he brought on himself by not being able to manage the people involved in the situation. And that's his fault completely. We might like him and have compassion for him, but now he's working against the party, and I like the Republican Party. I want to see the Republican Party succeed. And I might have differences with people in the Republican Party, and we might have arguments and discuss things. But I can tell you, when we go to have these picnics and we have hot dogs together, I always think I can shake hands with people, even when I have grotesque arguments with them. I am used to, if you're not secure with your own opinions, of course you're going to be angry and feel violated if you know someone doesn't agree with you. And I don't feel that way. I can always have a hot dog or a sloppy Joe and celebrate these little picnics with some of these people, and I might have fisticuffs with, and we usually have a good time, and we have a lot more in common than not because we're all in the Republican Party, and I like the Republican Party quite a lot, and I like to see people helping it succeed. And if you're not helping it succeed by helping as the candidates get elected, then you're trying to undermine it for all kinds of personal reasons, and that's not forgivable. And looks like that's sadly what Roger Reynolds decided to do, since there was no path for him to run for commissioner. He obviously wasn't going to get the endorsement. Michael Ryan is the far favorite in the whole race, and Cindy Carpenter is a disaster, and she deserves to be thrown out for helping Democrats. And again, she's shown terrible judgment. The whole Miami University incident, just like Amy Acton. All these people get in trouble. They have investigations on them because they mismanaged their lives. And yeah, some of the investigations political. Yeah, but are you smart enough to navigate through it? Well, it's not very good to go out there and flip people off who you disagree with so you can show off for your granddaughter that you worked out a problem for because you have a big commissioner seat and you're throwing your weight around in an elected office. Or you're trying to impress your daughter who's part of the Lakota Golf Academy by shindigging it and getting something done with the treasurer Lakota with some tax money that, again, it's bad judgment, and it ended up in court, and his legal team couldn't really defend it very well, and it caused him a lot of trouble. And I think, was it mostly politics? Sure it was. But you walked into it. And I've been through many situations, and some of the smart people that he knows that are in politics, they find themselves in difficult times all the time. There's people there are people trying to knock them down all the time. And you don't see them getting indictments against them. You don't see them getting lawsuits against them. I have a fair number of lawsuits come my way, quite a lot. But I know how to deal with them. And I know how to deal with people at all levels. And they get taken care of. And they get taken care of in my favor because I know how to handle these situations. But it starts with playing your cards right and not letting someone hook you on a sucker's bait. And Roger Reynolds walked into it with that whole Lakota thing, which I defended. And that was to keep him out of jail. But getting back in political office, that's a whole other thing. And now that he's worked against the party, I'm hurt by it. I'm hurt to hear that he's working against Michael Ryan. It was bad enough that he put his hat in the ring knowing Michael Ryan was already there, and people like me and Nancy Nix, who he should have a lot of respect for. A lot of respect, because she stood by him through everything. And he turned on her. And if you turn on Nancy Nix, you'll turn on anybody, I think. And that really kind of shows the level of character that we're dealing with on something like this. And he's worked against the party, and can't forgive that. It's really, really bad judgment on his part. It's making it all about him and not about what's good for the voters of Butler County, and that's to have a strong party that can fight Democrats and keep them from getting in these seats and ruining our community. That's what everybody should be concerned about. But when you have internal fights, the Democrats look at us and say, who needs enemies when they're their own enemies? We don't have to fight them because they fight themselves and destroy themselves. And I want a party that wins, and I don't like to see people undercutting it. Definitely not. Anyway, Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you haven't read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. And when you see all those Cindy Carpenter signs out there, she wouldn't have all those signs out there if, according to the little birds that told me all this, birds plural. There's one, and it's many others behind it. It's Roger Reynolds and his dad, because they got an axe to grind, and they're trying to help Cindy get elected so they can stick in the eye the Republican endorsement of Michael Ryan. And that's a shame. That's a real bad shame. And it really ruins him for the future, because when you've done this now, how are you going to dust yourself off and help candidates and win going forward? because you're always going to be known for this. And that's terrible. Not something I want to see. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.
Thank you for listening. Coming soon, the politics of heaven.